Welcome, because PowerPoint presentation stuff. Welcome is good. Just gonna keep going with it. So talk outline. So yeah, of course you can see someone's told me how to do presentations. But yeah, about me, Timi. That's a bit of wordplay for you. My idea, my startup, my intro to no-code MVP development and reflections. Obviously, you saw the invite going around today is talking about how you can use no-code to develop an MVP. And we already said an MVP, for those that don't know, is a minimum viable product. One thing that I did want to come in and say that Ollie didn't say, it doesn't need to necessarily be something physical about your app. It could just also be something to prove an assumption about what you're trying to make. So it doesn't always need to be the product or the smallest, most valuable part of the product that you want to explore. It could just be you wanting to prove an assumption through something else. So I've got a way where I'm trying to do that using no code as well. So yeah. So about me, my name is Timi. However, my name's not actually Timi. My name is Timi Kalejaiye. I'm very, very proud of my name. Accent, you can probably tell I'm not from Scotland. Does anyone have any ideas as to where I could be from? You know already. Anybody else? No ideas? So, okay, I'm from Southeast London, specifically a place called Woolwich. Yeah, one of the best places in the world. Don't tell everybody that, but it is. And then as well, ethnicity. I'm sure if you look at me, I probably don't look like I'm an English person. However, by nationality I am, but I am also Nigerian, so I do have dual nationality. And then, again, I'm 22 years old. In terms of education, I just finished my BEng in Civil and Environmental Engineering. However, I've just started a Master's in Sustainability Transitions. This is in the University of Aberdeen. So that's where I've done my BEng and I'm doing my Master's there again. And yeah, you might be thinking 22 years old, giving a talk, looking around entrepreneurship and stuff. It just comes from the area that I'm born in, Woolwich. We've got some hustlers there. Then when I've lived in Nigeria, I've lived in quite a famous region called Odrelaba, and we've got some hustlers there as well. Then just being here and there, we've got family members that try their hand at entrepreneurship. Doesn't mean they were successful, but they had the skill and the mindset to go for it and want to do better for themselves, along with a backbone, which is why I've done the engineering degree. So I have a backbone, and yeah, I've just always been around entrepreneurial people. So before I really tell you the name, I'm going to tell you what my idea is. So my idea is a financial tool to help young professionals and graduates develop positive and sustainable financial habits. Where it came from is that from 16 I started working in coffee shops and hospitality, and I've always had I've had money to my name, larger amounts and smaller amounts at different times, and I didn't like that disparity. So I quickly realized it came from the financial habits that I had, or the lack of financial education that was given to me. I know we have a lot of people that say young people are never really taught how to work with our finances and stuff like that. So I wanted to build something that encompasses all the ways I'm trying to now be better with my finances. So one of the main things about it is going to be our financial habits and actions, and there would be a focus on spending and saving, and it will have a underlining background in financial psychology, because a lot of people, as much as you've got the structures, you have the financial psychology to keep along with that. So I want to have that within the tool so that it's something that people work on, and then it's going to be through a range of features, and it's going to be on an app. I didn't really want to do web development because the people that I'm targeting are young professionals and young graduates, and as you can see, by one way or another, I have two phones for different reasons, so I just needed to get in the hands of people's phones and not their laptops. So with all that information, the name of the app or the startup that I'm trying to build is called PH7. We care about your balance, and that's a double entendre, and we actually care about your literal balance on your bank account, but also we care about your balance up here in terms of your finances and your psychology. So I hope you guys like that name. It's good. Going on to no code. So this is my intro to no code. My intro to coding was from quite young. Like I said, I used to work at a coffee shop from 16. I used to know a guy that comes in every Saturday. He works for Intel. He'd open up his laptop, I'd see lots of different colors, I'd tell him to shut it because I just did not like what I was seeing on there. Obviously, he tried to talk to me about understanding coding and it's actually all right, this isn't that, but it just never gelled with me. And of course, I'm someone who's going to try things if I feel like they're valuable. So I did try to go into coding. However, I'm very honest with myself. I saw it wasn't something that I thought was for me and something I thought that I could have time to put to and be better. So I just kind of closed that chapter. However, no code came to me in terms of I'm someone that's very, very physical, proactive. I don't want to be telling people an idea without having anything to show for it. I'm not a person that's just going to talk. So I really research for what is out there that can help me to build something. I don't want to code, but I need to build something. Then that's when I stumbled onto Flutter. Is anyone aware of Flutter? So we have some people that are aware of Flutter. So what Flutter is, if we had like that sliding scale of like no code to code or no code tools, Flutter might be in the middle, going a bit more towards the coding side, if I were to judge it. So it's just another no code tool, but it's a bit more powerful. There's a bit more things to do with like APIs, and APIs for non-technical people is like, I need to request information from somewhere else. So let me just put this robot that does it there for me. Is that a good explanation? Cool. So I stumbled onto Flutter. I tried Flutter and it just didn't really work with me. Like I could do things, but as well, my laptop isn't that powerful and it's quite a big system, even though it operates on the cloud, I think. And I was just like, no. So then I was talking to TechScaler. So this is code-based Edinburgh. There's also code-based Aberdeen, where I'm from, and a lovely lady named Laurie. Shout out to Laurie, because it's recorded. So she connected me with Ollie, and then Ollie was a bit busy, so we had a meeting in like a week, and then I spoke to Ollie, and then I told him about the features that I'm trying to implement in my MVP. So again, my minimum viable product. This idea is quite a big idea. I'm not sure if you guys have got anything going in your head of what it could be, but it's quite a big idea, but we had to narrow it because we're playing the startup game. So I told him about my features that I wanted, and then he came up with some recommendations, and then I really took those recommendations to heart because when I did have time, because I was working quite a lot this summer, I'd really just go straight at it. So from hearing him tell me about the recommendations, I then used a week to actually make my MVP. So this is what we're saying in terms of like the MVP and no code. No code can help you just bring something out. It doesn't need to be the best thing, but you can come up with something that you need at that moment in time. So after getting the recommendations from Ollie, he told me about Glide and then Tally. So going through the development, I had to keep remembering what do I need? And then what do I need in terms of it being a minimum viable product? So for my MVP, I went with 3 features: notes, financial schedule, and the list. You might be thinking, where did this guy get this out of for a financial tool for young graduates? For me, I normally have 3 places where anything to do with my finances are. I have my finance book where I write my monthly expenditures and the things I need to take into account. Then also on our banking apps, if we have standing orders, you may be able to look at them. Then list is just like if I had random papers somewhere. But I was just getting sick and tired of just having all those 3 in different places. I just wanted all my finances and my financial thoughts to just be in one place. Before I start learning how to structure it and be better at the money coming in my account, I just needed all of that information to be in one place. So that's why I decided that I wanted to have a notes, financial schedule, and a list feature within the MVP. Like I said already, your MVP doesn't need to be an actual product or the minimum aspect of your app or whatever you're trying to build. It could be an MVP to prove your assumptions. So that's where when I was speaking to Ollie, he came up with the idea of using Tally as a questionnaire maker. So if you're not familiar with Tally, it's a no-code questionnaire maker, so that whatever you're trying to ask people or put out there, it can do it for you, or you can make it all yourself. It's quite a simple interface, and then you can send out a link and people can do it. So these were the two things that I wanted to look at in terms of when I'm building my MVP, what is it that I need? So I've got the features that I need, and then what I'm trying to get, and then I've got two no-code tools to be able to push that forward. Quite importantly, for building a MVP with no-code, you need to know your process. You need to know what you're trying to develop and how. So again, I refer back to that question of what do I need? Because guys, when you're building an MVP, you might start adding so much into it. Like, there's so much I want to do with this app, but I have to take time. I have to remember, we have to play the startup game. We have to do minimum viable product. Let's first and foremost get this, what's it again? Let's first and foremost get this problem solution fit, qualified. Like, people need this, or people are thinking about this. So therefore, I said, look, with the no-code tools, what do I need? We've already established that the features. Then now I need to go start researching ways to achieve these needs in these tools. That was a big one for me, because again, as much as it's no code, it's still got some element of technical to it, because it's now you're introducing me to a new interface that I've got to understand and learn. After that, after finding ways to achieve the needs in the tools, I needed to do some trial and error development. Again, with MVPs and no-code tool, unless you're an expert, you're not an expert. So it is going to be some trial and error. So you need to have that in your mind from the start and not get angry when things don't come out the way you want it to come out. Then at the end, you need to have a judgment of the outcome. So you might have built something, but you really need to judge it if it is, again, like a feedback loop of what is it that you need. So when you are building with your MVP with no-code tool, I recommend this the process that you go through. So building the MVP or building the app part of the MVP, because again, I was looking at both of them. You can really target one, but at this time I had a bit of time on my hands, so I was like, let me try both of them. So I tried to build the app with Glide. So again, at the top, I just remembered what my process. What do I need? Ways to achieve, trial and error, and judgment. So the first thing that I did, and I'm so glad we talked about the AI stuff, because I forgot to mention on it. I went out there and looked for direct templates of my idea. So a lot of these no-code tools, there's experts and there's community hubs and stuff like that. You can go through them and see if somebody has done what you're trying to do, which is good in a way, but sometimes it might be a bit demoralizing. But then the other side of that is when you look for direct templates of your idea, when you do upload them and you look at them, you might get that sense of this is actually terrible. It's not actually what I want. So even with the AI stuff, I must have used Flutter's AI prompt at the start, and what it came out with was terrible. And I'll say that to Flutter, whoever Flutter guy, I'm not really an AI bro yet, but it's that same thing of the first thing that came out was terrible, and then I don't even know what to do afterward because I don't even like what it is. But some people might come out good, but then again, you don't know what to do with it afterwards because you didn't have that hands-on feeling of, oh, I put this together. What I strongly recommend is look for the capabilities you need instead of the direct template. So one of the main things that I needed was a scheduling feature, but I didn't want to have all the scheduling templates that I saw. They didn't work the way I wanted it to work and have the certain features and capabilities that I needed. So I had my template for just the interface, but then I went out there looking for how do people do scheduling on Glide. From doing that, then I was able to see the basics of scheduling and programming scheduling in there, but then I was also able to change it for what I needed. And the reason why I'm saying scheduling is because when it comes to, like I said, the financial schedule, one of the features of the app is that you have a calendar on your app where you can put all your incomings and outgoings. So instead of me having to do a couple buttons on the standing orders of my banking app, then I can just open my PH7 and see what my financial schedule is. There's also some other features where you can put it as, you can change what the name of it is. So of course you might have rent, you might have utility bills, someone might owe you money, you might have to pay council tax. So I needed it to be a scheduler for all those different things and not just one event. So yeah, just going on to what happened throughout the development. Like I said, again, we're not experts. So I had some major issues, and the first one was multiple events. So if you don't know what this is, I'm sorry, I just pasted it up here. I think I could probably bring up my background here. So this is just me opening up my Glide portal, and then I can talk about the major issues that I had, and then you can actually see the portal as well. Hopefully it loads up quickly. Cool. So yeah, so there's 3 sections at the top. There's actions, layout, and data. For someone that's no code, you might first start off in this layout section, because that's where things look nice, aesthetics. Oh, this is the app that I have in my head. Oh, I can put it in front of there. But then you might have the app that you have in your head, but it doesn't work how you want it to work in your head. So now I had to start interacting with the data side. So when I had to start interacting with the data side, that's when things started to get a bit, not technical. I was going to use the word techie because that's where I use where I'm from, but it started getting a bit technical in the sense that I didn't know what I was doing with data and inputting data and populating data and stuff like that. I just knew how I wanted this to look, but I didn't know how I wanted it to work. So one of the major issues that I had was for the financial calendar. You can see it's been populated with different things, so like electricity, someone owes me money, gas bill, savings, and then something else. Whenever I tried to populate with more things than one, it just switched out the one that was there. So I was like, okay, this looks decently good now, but it's not working. So then I had to go and learn about the data side. So what I'm trying to say is that with MVPs and building on no code tool, like there is still a little bit of learning for you to do technically. But the good thing about it is that, one second, GDPR and stuff, so some people are using it, so I didn't want you to just see their email. So the good thing about no code is there is still a development, but it's not as high, and if you're actually driven, you'll quite find it. So when I found out that was the issue, I then went back and said, okay, if that's the issue, what is it that I need to do? And then how do I search for that, for that solution? So each time that I search for the solution, the beauty about no code is that there's communities. So I found each time I had a problem, the community had already put out there the solution. But sometimes they do use their own words and they don't really speak like everybody is like new. They speak like they're just guys and we know, okay, yeah, just do this, and that. So again, you still have to do a bit of research, but once you get it, you get it. So with no code, there's always going to be a bit of issues because you're still learning something. However, the communities are quite strong that you'll be able to find those solutions. And then another issue I had was, I call it naked data. So if somebody was to put their own like inputs, everybody on the app can see it. So then I had to learn how to like separate people's data, and I had to learn about linking people's emails to what they input, and then changing the visibility so that if one person puts an input, only they can see what they input. Of course, to me, that's like a normal thing that just happens, but you still have to do it and tell your app to do that. So, like I said, you will go through some issues, but the communities are quite nice. And if you are building an MVP, the issues that you are trying to solve are not going to be the hardest ones in the world. But you just have to keep in mind that you're building an MVP, a minimum viable product. Okay. So another thing with MVPs is still an iterative thing. So as you can see here, early ideas, PH7 0.0, PH7 1.0, okay, time engineer. And then PH7 2.0, testing and learning, PH7 3.0, multiple events. So that's when I had that problem. Then PH7 4.0, Then Ronin working copy is when I tried to get my friend to help out because I was seriously annoyed before I found the result. And then PH7 5.0 row owner, so that's the visibility. So when you are making your MVP through here, just understand as well, it is still going to be something iterative. As much as this is the start before real iteration happens, you still need to iterate with this as well. So Glide and no-code tools are really, really good for that, especially playing around. So I kind of call it, this was when I was playing around. And you can see I've literally labeled the early ideas and exploration so that I could just see what is happening on this app and things changing and me just going through the app and seeing what different things mean and learning definitions and stuff. So from that, I built my MVP, and this is the main 4 pages. So we've got the task, we've got the finances calendar, we've got the notes, and then we've just got the extra pop-up. And you might think, okay, but this is just a notes app and a schedule together. Yes, it is. However, what it's trying to prove is that young professionals might need these things all in one place, or they're willing to start looking at their finances together. It's not about it being simple, because someone could still probably just do this on their phone and still move about within their phone. They're not like me now that they've not got the book and the papers and in their phone anymore. They're still just doing it on 3 different places on their phone. But just testing if somebody wants it localized. That's the main reason for this MVP. So again, throughout you building on no code, understand what your MVP is and what you're trying to build, what you're trying to prove and what you're trying to test. So yeah, another thing is, I'm just seeing if somebody wants to reduce their thoughts in different places, make it a bit more visual and make it a bit more clear, because I really hate having to go through so many buttons on my banking app to get to the standing orders. If I could just open it and see, okay, cool, this is coming up, this is there, I'll be very much happy. I'm not sure about you guys, but I call the traditional banking apps numbers and squares because they really are. And I know young people do like more visual banks, hence Monzo and Starling's uprising and stuff like that. So that was another thing I'm testing, is the visual nature good for you? So that's why this part here with the different colors for the different inputs, that really annoyed me, because I knew how to do that before I could get multiple inputs. So imagine I was like, okay, I know where I'm trying to get to, but I need to defeat one thing to like see the goal at the end of it. So I knew as soon as I showed that to people, people really liked it, especially having different colors separating it. At times you can learn it so quickly that you just know, okay, green is electricity. Like I don't even need to see the reading and the writing for that. So that was me building my MVP with no code and especially Glide. And to build all of that, I said 1 week, but it was actually probably 2 days. And when I mean 2 days, I mean like 5 or 2 5-hour nights, because I was coming back from work and I just had it in me like, yo, let's just bang this one out. And whatever issue there is, we're not going to sleep on it. Like I'm watching a video. Because there was one video that I watched, it was 1 hour long, and I watched it 3 times. And then I ended up not using it because I didn't even like what the guy was building. So there is a quickness to it, but again, there's a quickness to it if you know what you're trying to prove with your MVP. If you're just somebody that gets excited and you start trying to add different things, and oh, I've seen this capability, let me add that, it's not going to be really useful for you, okay? So the second thing is, again, like you said, the MVP doesn't need to be something physical or part of the app. It could be, again, testing an assumption. So that's why Tally was amazing, because it's a very, very straightforward, simple, quick, aesthetic and clean, like no-code tool to just devise a questionnaire. And I'm just going to bring it up now so you can just see it. So yeah, you can see here that 2 pieces of MVP that I wanted to work on was a personal finance survey to see how people feel about their personal finance now, and see if I can try and get some sort of hint that they need help, especially young professionals. Because with the MVP, I'm not sure if you know it in startup culture, there's a lot of pivoting. So pivoting is when you start with one idea, however, introduction of thoughts and assumptions being wrong make you change where you're trying to go. So therefore, I was going to do a personal finance survey just to see what the landscape is like in terms of the thoughts for young professionals, young graduates. Then I was also going to do a PH7 MVP review to see what they think about the MVP that I released to them. So if I go into editing, so just again, this is Tally's back end. If I go into editing, you can see here that you can plus, you can plus, and then you can add different formats of questions and answers and things within a questionnaire. And it's very, very nice, very, very clean, very, very simple. But I'm just gonna preface it a bit with, I didn't release it yet because I got a bit busy, so there was no responses, and I can't talk about the analytics side on the other end. But for building a quick questionnaire, Tally was amazing. So again, just no coding. That one probably took me like 1 hour to do both of them. Like no code, again, just the quickness of it if you know where you're going. Second thing about that is, recently I've been in the startup First Steps Tech Scaler Accelerator. So we did have a session on learning to do unbiased questionnaires. Unfortunately, I wasn't there, so I'm yet to watch it, but I know my questionnaire is a bit biased, so I'm gonna change that up. So hence it needed a remake. So Tally, again, if you need to do a MVP that's just a questionnaire, like you need to see where people are, or you have an idea and you don't want to allude to that idea, but you want to see if people themselves allude to it, then go for a questionnaire, just test it out, and then just send it to as many people as you can. Try not to send it to friends and family and that, because you might have some bias within there, even if your questionnaire is unbiased. And then see what comes out of that. Then maybe you might get a better idea out of that than your assumptions that you have. So again, that MVP is a minimum viable product. I don't even like that word product, but it is product, so that you can just see what people will feel about what you've done. So yeah, like I said, that was just how it comes out looking. And in my workspace, the two things that I've done. And you can see August 12th, so I did this a long, long time ago, but I'll be on it soon. And then just a couple reflections on building with no-code tools. They are good tools for starting and creating something to show or help with conveying your idea, which is a massive thing for me, because I just don't like waffling and talking to people about an idea or something and not having anything to show. And then, again, remember what you're doing it for. If it's an MVP, make sure it is an MVP, a minimum viable product. Don't start trying to put different things, because then that's when your no-code experience can get really wild, because it might take some expertise in knowing how to piece things together to make it work. But if it's a minimum viable product, you can really do the simplest thing. And then, yeah, it gives you good insight into technical side as a beginner. So like I said, I started interacting with data. So when I had that problem with the data, I actually went to one of the unfiltered morning sessions, and then I put my hand up, I said, yo, I need help with this data part. Then I had like data specialists come, and then they immediately clocked it and then told me what it was. But because they don't use Glide, they couldn't tell me how to solve it. But I went home, learned a bit more about Glide, and then in one of those nights, I worked it out. But then because I had an inclination a bit about the data and technical side, I was able to convey what I was struggling with them. So again, it's not going to make you be the most technical person, but the insight is a very, very good thing that you get from no code. And then, yeah, play around. Play around. If you don't know what your idea is yet, play around, see what happens on there, and maybe it might influence your idea. So, yeah, that's me and my journey of building with no code. Interested or curious, get in touch. I am looking for a co-founder, quote unquote. And then my LinkedIn is Timi Kalejaiye. So thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated.